So I'm saying this to myself first and foremost, but I think sometimes we don't really see or appreciate how there's like a time for everything. There's a time for rest, there's a time for action. There are times when we have so much to say, and there's times where we don't have anything to say and we just like kind of sit and observe. And there's so many polarities that kind of go with that. There's times of where we're more tired, sometimes where we are more awake, more work, less work. Oh my god, those examples are horrible. But all I want to say is that I often feel like we externally kind of put upon ourselves those expectations or those mechanisms that we're supposed to be this machine, or supposed to function in a way, or supposed to be consistent, or supposed to be we're supposed to be the same like we were yesterday. And there's a sort of like societal expectation that rolls around that. Same expected personality, rather than a personality that is just like wide and diverse enough so that even our closest people still need to get to know ourselves better, or habits or inspirations or preferences in how we want to live life that are far more diverse than we allow ourselves to actually live. And yeah, I guess I'm just noticing this right now because they're like, June for me will just be very, very, very active and very like just moving around a lot and doing many different projects, and at the same time kind of I'm opening myself up emotionally and spiritually like to greater depths that I'm like exploring while I do all those things on the outside. And there's like some sort of, how do you say, like juxtaposition between the two, but I'm like trying to embrace both sides and many more sides than that, and it just creates this really, it makes it impossible to control. And that in the first on first sight is kind of stressful, but as soon as I'm like leaning into this just pulse of life, I feel so alive, and I'm it allows me to really feel life for what it is, and that is such a beautiful thing to experience. And I just noticed how I often limit and kind of censor myself in my experiences or available experiences, because I try to focus on the fact that I have to say it. I gotta say a lot, or I gotta work in the same intensity, the same time, all the time, or I gotta be the same great husband that I am, or the same predictable good friend, or whatever. But it's just not that. And I'm just realizing this expansiveness that is available for seemingly, and I'm sure for each one of us. And when I see other people lean into their expansiveness, I just get this hit of like, oh my god, this is also there for me. So yeah, just wanted to share that this is, I'm kind of struggling because this might not fully make sense. I'm like, when I make those videos, I'm often just like kind of riffing along my thoughts, and that's kind of the same thing again. Like, I have the expectation of me to be always like understandable and always clear to follow. So I'm kind of censoring myself in allowing, like I'm kind of centering in allowing myself to experiment with a format like that. But the point is not to be clear. The point is to be expansive. So, yeah.